I'm Lyn Gamello.
I'm Gregg Gamello.
We have 3 children. One is 16 in the high school. One is in 8th grade. He's 14, and our youngest is in 6th grade.
And she's 11. I figured I'd have to throw that out there. It was Common Core, what we experienced in the middle school with our oldest, that kind of had us out there looking for an alternative very quickly, and through the grace of God, the alternative was here, and we acted on that fairly quickly. We got my son James involved right away, and it's been great ever since. It was the right decision.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm in total agreement against Common Core. The education they get here is far superior, and the small class size, I think, makes a difference, especially for my son, who, while at Springfield, there was only 1/3, 4th, and 5th grade class of about 33 kids.
33 kids.
In one class. And while that's not such a bad thing, but when you, have 6 kids that can disrupt a class instead of 3 in one class and 3 in the other, it's challenging for the teacher to have to stop and reprimand. So the small class size is a definite added benefit.
Absolutely. A logic of teaching children Common Core versus teaching them logic, it's a no-brainer. The school reinforces the values that we try to teach them at home, the traditional values, Catholic values. My biggest fear as a parent is that transitional period between grade school and high school. It's a very dangerous time in a young person's life, and I breathe a sigh of relief that they're here, they're safe, and they're being taught what they need to learn and not what they don't need to learn, and that's important to me.
That the Academy has done for your children since they have arrived here, talking about the last couple of years.
Well, they gave them a better education when it comes to history, real history. In the public school, they teach things that I was never taught.
I think she's saying it's the almost anti-American stance that we find in public schools. There's no history taught. What history is taught from a perspective that we should almost be ashamed of our history as Americans, and that's not the case here, and we were looking for that. We don't want our children growing up feeling that there's something they need to apologize for, just being Americans, just being Christian, Western human beings. And we find that is common in the public school environment. Well, we see that with our oldest in the high school. It's not as prevalent as in some places that we read about, but it's there. Here, our kids have a home. They're with other students that have basically the same values. The school reinforces the things that we're trying to instill in our children, and that's important.
Do you feel that your children are achieving academic excellence? And explain what that might mean to you.
Their English.
English is fantastic.
The books that the teachers
Yep.
choose to read are so much better than what my oldest daughter has had to read in the public school system. When I go to help them with their homework, and I have to actually look up things because it's been so many years,
Right.
and you do forget parts of the speech, and it just is amazing what they're learning. I think that will take them far in life, and they appreciate history. I was never into history, but they both love history.
What do you see as their experience has been since they've arrived here in terms of their spiritual growth?
Oh, that's evident in so many different ways.
And, start your answer with, you've experienced, it's very evident that their
Right.
spiritual growth and what that's all about for
Well,
you.
we say grace now in Latin. I guess that's the, you know what? We don't have to force our children to love Christ. We don't have to force our children to go to Mass. Well, maybe my oldest from time to time. They embrace their Catholic faith. They embrace Christ. They're crusaders. I don't know. I don't know. The words fail me. They're happy to be here, and that's, what we want. If you have to force children to do something, they're not going to learn from it. They're going to rebel against it, and we don't have to do that with our kids.
Gianna is happy to serve Mass any chance that she gets.
Yeah.
If people don't show up and she has to fill in,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll do it,
I think that says everything right there. As a parent, you look for an environment where you know your children are going to be safe, where there's a solid curriculum teaching them the things that they need to learn as opposed to the things that we as parents should be teaching. I guess that kind of sums it up. As a parent, you want one less worry, and sending our children here is one less worry. It's one less thing that we have to second guess. It's one less thing to keep us up at night. We know that they're here, we know that they're learning, we know that they're learning in an environment in which their values are going to be reinforced and they're going to be encouraged to continue along that line. And that's important to us. We could preach all we want at home, but if they don't see that instilled in other environments, it's not going to set completely.
I guess most of all, I would thank the Academy for teaching my children about Jesus. That would be the most important thing to me. They are taught the Beatitudes, 8 ways that you should live a good Christian, happy life, to follow commandments, virtues, cardinal and spiritual virtues, how to treat people. That would be the first thing. And then the education would come secondly. And here, the class size is great, the small class size. I feel that because you wear a uniform, there's no peer pressure to,
Right.
look different or be better. Everybody's the same. And your goal is the same. And that's the way it should be for 8th grade and down. Later on in life, they'll learn. So to have them educated in a safe environment is a wonderful thing. And it's not Common Core.
Off she went.
James absolutely loved coming here, and he's sorry that he has to leave to go on to a different school. He really did well here. Gianna was upset that we took her out of the
She had
public
a lot of
school
friends.
because she
And-
had a lot of friends.
They were very close.
And
So-
she's very theatrical and musical and artistic. She had leads in 2 productions in 4th and 5th grade in the public school. And while last year was the first year that I knew of that they did the play, we spoke about it for a year, and she had her doubts about coming here and of course giving up her friends. But
Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard transition for her, but go ahead.
I told
She
her,
made it.
coming to a small private school, you'll love it, because I had that when I grew up. Very small. There was only 40 kids in my graduating class, so it was
In high school?
yes, it was
Wow.
a very small
I had
school.
40 kids in my home.
I said,
30.
you're going to love it. It's so much different, and you'll learn a lot more. You'll get more out of the teacher, what they say the first time. I mean, you may not understand everything, but you'll get it. And she does love it, and she loves the friends that she's made
her
here.
new friends.
She maybe had more of advantage than James did, but James adapted so well. She knew a few of the people from church, but I think she fit right in, and her and Leah are such great friends, and she adapted well.
Good. Do you have anything that you think you need to share with us about the academy, about your children, and how it's impacted your life that would be of value for other people to know?
Yeah, it's time to add a high school. and if we can get the construction started right away,
Well, yeah, for September.
if we can get it done by September, that would be a plus.
Together.
Awaken the spirit.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That was a good one.